Hello, so today I'm talking about Sir Winston Churchill. Now, he is known for many things. Mostly, I think most people hear about obviously his powerful speeches in regards to World War II, but I think also knowing about other stuff about him is also very important, and some things aren't really spoken about. You often have to do your own research for this, so I've put a few things together, some good things, some bad things in here, so this is very good if you're studying and you're trying to find out about Churchill. This will be good for that. So from the beginning, as a student, he performed really quite badly in most of his lessons, but history and English. He was described as showing no skill in foreign languages. He failed twice at the entrance exams for the Royal Military College at Sandhurst in Berkshire, England. He finally passed with help from a military tutor, but only qualified for the cavalry class, which was because they basically had lower standards. When he graduated, he took leave from the army and visited Cuba in 1895, reporting for a London newspaper. He went on to serve as a war correspondent and military officer. He went to South Africa in 1899, and his train was ambushed by Boers, who were the descendants of Dutch settlers who were fighting the British. He was sent to a prison camp, which he then escaped and met a British coal miner manager who hid him and got him on a truck to Mozambique and caught a ship back to South Africa. When World War I started, he was serving as First Lord of the Admiralty. He was the so-called mastermind in the Gallipoli campaign in 1915, serving as its chief public advocate. He orchestrated Dardanelles naval campaign and was involved in the planning of the military landings in Gallipoli. So he was also to blame when it completely failed. It was actually nicknamed Churchill's Folly due to his carelessness and recklessness, really. He became Prime Minister in 1940, shortly after Germany conquered quite a lot of Europe. He spoke 6 speeches in the course of 4 months, and they were inspirational. So we have the nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears and sweat. Another being, we shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills, we shall never surrender. And then after France were preparing to submit to Germany, he made a bold speech. To brace ourselves to our duties and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say this was their finest hour. Now, the last speech was a big deal and really helped to sort of empower Britain and bring them together and their troops really to fight and just not give up. So no matter what people might think of him, that speech was very inspirational. He received a Nobel Prize in Literature in 1953 for his, I quote, his mastery of historical and biographical description, as well as for brilliant oratory in defending exalted human values. But he also said things that are very shocking and racist statements, and he had very racial views. I don't think anybody could honestly deny that. The thing is, they weren't just statements, he also had a huge impact on how things worked. So, for example, if you watch my other video on the forgotten African soldiers and carriers, if you haven't, please click on the link because it's very interesting for people who don't know. They weren't provided with individual headstones because they were black, and it was, well, Churchill, among other people, believed it was a waste of public money. Even the enemies, the German troops that were obviously fighting against Britain, because they were white, they were actually given individual headstones, but the black African troops that were fighting for Britain were not, and it was because of race. So if you don't know about it, please watch that because it really was a racial thing. Obviously, I don't know anybody who doesn't know about the Windrush scandal. Now, he clearly stated he did not like how black people were coming in. Please watch the video that I done on that. He set up secret studies to try and find out how many black citizens from the Commonwealth were claiming benefits and not working. And even though there was no proof or evidence of this, he still went on to try and turn the white people of Britain against the black people. Now, another thing when the Second World War was over, during the Windrush, they were asking for people from the Caribbean, like for men to come over to help rebuild Britain and for women to then come over because they needed more nurses for the NHS. Obviously, these people were expected to leave their homes, they were coming over to help. But then things started turning for the worse and they're realising they weren't actually being as welcoming as it was really believed. They were sort of changing their minds behind the curtains, and eventually, to try and cut it short, they were actually favouring white European people who had previously been either against Britain in the war, or they didn't speak any English, or they had no skills. Like a lot of the Caribbean people did, they were bringing them over purely because they weren't black. So it very much was a racial thing. Now, if people don't believe that, again, please watch the videos on this. It's written as clear as day, and it's really something that people should talk about more because it was a racial thing. I mean, the Conservative slogan back then was to make Britain white again. Now, I mean, come on, we can't say any more about that. Now, he resigned with health problems in 1955, and he then died from a stroke in 1965 at the age of 90. So yeah, he did a lot of good things for the country. He was very inspirational in World War II. Yeah, he absolutely did have racial views. Thanks for listening. Please check out the other 2 videos. The links will be there, because unless you take your time to learn about these things, we aren't taught this here. So it's very much, you have to sort of find this out for yourself, and it really is very interesting, and it helps you understand fully about what people have sort of gone through, I guess. So yeah, thank you.